I have no clue. S is probably for students. P is probably like participation. Activities? I have no idea. We'll say reading. I have no idea. Campus.
SPARC, S-P-A-R-C. SPARC stands for Sponsored Programs, Agreements, Research, and Contracts. Here at the SPARC office, we find and we also facilitate and help manage funding coming from external funders. That could be anything really from government grants to research to private organizations. I am the post-award liaison here at the SPARC office. So I primarily work with what happens after you get your award. I help with research, with deliverables, and with compliance.
So here in the SPARC office, with the Sponsored Programs office, we help faculty and staff and even students who find mentors through their professors find funding and grants with their research projects. And so I am the pre-award student liaison, so I help facilitate the pre-award side of the work. So when professors are submitting proposals and admissions, and we help them answer some of those questions that the sponsors ask. And so I heavily work with the pre-award side before your award is funded.
I'm the student intern here. I'm actually working closely with Katie Gomez, and I just help with the old paper system, and I'm moving everything electronically, and I do help with articles from every now and then.
So the project is the Paiute Outdoor Classroom Project, and we've applied for money from the state to support outdoor classrooms. During the pandemic, what we saw was that a lot of groups could not meet, children in kindergarten through 12th grade, because they were worried about meeting inside during the pandemic. So what we did is apply to the state for some money to build an outdoor classroom that can be used by the Paiute Indian Tribe of Utah and all the K through 12 classrooms here in Cedar City.
So my project is about biomedical sensors, and I'm focusing on infectious disease like COVID-19 and tuberculosis. And to realize this sensor, I use a new method which utilize light matter interaction. So I will make some platform which improves the detection of those infectious disease much easier and faster. And also I use machine learning algorithm to make the diagnosis easier and even possible without any medical doctor's help. So that's the long-term goal, but right now I'm trying to have some detection for COVID-19.
The CEDAR project is actually a project with in cooperation with the USBE. And so what we're looking at is how to identify and target and remediate teacher shortages in special education. And so the Beacon project is actually a grant-funded project through the CEDAR initiative, which is through the University of Florida. And basically what we're doing is we're working with some Beacon school districts, and we're calling them Beacons because we want them to be shining lights in Utah for other school districts. So we're working with 4 Beacon schools to try to identify what it is about special education that's hard in their districts and plan some targeted supports for those districts that can help retain special educators because we have a critical shortage both nationwide but also here in the state of Utah.
With the SPARC office, we have administered almost $15 million in emergency student financial aid grants to students through the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. So these grants have gone to students who have lost loved ones because of COVID, who have lost employment and wouldn't be able to continue to afford their education without it, and just made sure that they were able to continue to progress towards their goal of completing their degrees. So working with the office, we made sure that we had all of the grant logistics taken care of and support, because it was a brand new program and it's just been an incredible impact on our student retention and them meeting their goals.
The project that I just submitted to the NSF is for a conference. It was a conference proposal, and it came about as some of us colleagues across the nation last year in the summer, after all Black Lives Matter and all those movements happened, we decided we wanted to do something about racial, ethnic, and all other inequities, and to bring that subject, I guess, to the forefront of our minds, and especially in our classrooms and in higher education. So a bunch of us, there's 8 of us actually working in this, and we decided to put on a conference for chemistry and chemistry education, because there's not a lot of work being done in this area, and we are very excited to educate ourselves in these matters.
So we came up with a SOAR grant proposal to help recruit students to be teachers, and in particular special education competencies. So we have an elementary major, a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education. We also offer a licensure in special education, which is currently just a minor. It possibly will be a BS soon. And so we found the opportunity to recruit teachers and decided to ask them to give us scholarship money to fund students who added special education minors, so we call it specialized options for alternative routes. So students majoring in elementary education, if they emphasize a license in general and special education, will pay for a big chunk of their schooling.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm actually a new faculty here, so I haven't done research with students here yet, but I do have a lot of research interests. And I'm actually starting my first project here in the spring with a couple of students, and I'm super excited. So my area of expertise is in chemistry education, and some of the things that are very important to me is kind of the affective side of learning. So a lot of the times we focus on the cognitive part, like how are students learning, how are they studying, and things like that, which is super important and very interesting, but I am more interested in how they feel. And you know, the kinds of feelings like stress and the feelings like the overwhelming feelings that students feel affect how they perform, and eventually how they decide what to do. So if a subject like chemistry is too overwhelming, which we see and hear a lot from our students, it might be a little bit of a deterrent, or a lot of a deterrent actually. So I'm interested in investigating those aspects and how to design interventions that can help students feel less stressed and overwhelmed in our classrooms, still keeping the rigor and the types of things that are important to us.
So outside of the classroom, SUU is helping out with this grant in terms of managing the money through the SPARC office, and that's really helpful for us and for the tribe. The outdoor classroom has lots of other applications aside from being used for K-12 visits. It's a part of the community, and we're also hoping to build our relationships between the university and the tribe through this outdoor classroom project. It's a combined project with outdoor classroom as part of it, and with the Veterans Memorial for Paiute veterans.
My ultimate goal is to better prepare teachers. I want to see teachers prepared to meet the needs of all learners, especially students who might have been given a rough pathway in life. And so to give teachers the tools to help their students, whether they have a disability or have a difference or have a mental health issue, providing them the tools to help that learner, that is my ultimate goal. And I feel like if I do that, then they'll not only help my kids, but other people's children. And let's face it, who's going to take over the world? Our future, our K-12 students will be taking over the world someday. So we need our teachers better trained.